Hi, I'm Jamie Andreas from GuitarPrinciples.com. I'd like to talk to you now about some of the very common problems that students have when they're working with Troy Stetna's classic book for metal players, Speed Mechanics. Now, it certainly is true that if you can master the material in that book, you're going to be quite a player. But unfortunately, just about all of the students that I work with who are using this book have a lot of problems in executing things really properly because of certain things they don't understand, certain fundamental things they don't understand about technique, and or fundamental developmental problems they have with their fingers. So I want to go over some of those things with you right now. And to do that, we're going to take a look at number 9, very early in the book, which is where the problems usually start, especially with those techniques of hammering and pulling. Now, number 9 goes like this. So you have a hammer with 3, then a hammer with 4, pull with 4 to 3, 3 to 1, and then a hammer on with 4. Now, the first problem that people have with this kind of thing is even just getting into a position where their fingers can easily access all of the notes on the string, because they can't quite get into this position and still have good separation between their fingers because the left hand is not properly developed. So they don't have good curvature in the fingers, especially in that last joint of the finger, which is called the distal joint. Now you see that mine is very bent there. Now, while it is true that when we play, there are certainly times where we're going to go flat-fingered on that, and it's not going to be a problem. But doing hammer-ons or pull-offs with the 4th finger is not one of those times. We really have to have that distal joint bent there in order to get the force on the string. So that's the first problem that people have. Now, in doing the pulls, any kind of pull or trilling thing with the 4th finger to the 3rd you're just going to have you're not going to get speed up if you have a flat finger. You've got to really get the thing working like that. Okay, so developing the left hand in that regard is an essential prerequisite for doing a lick like this properly. Now the next thing on the list, and this is very big with a lot of rock licks that people try to do, is the fact that when a student will they'll do the hammers, and then they do the pull, and as they do the pull, especially as they pull with 3, the 4th finger tenses like crazy. In fact, I work with students for months really to overcome this, because especially if they've been long-time players with a lot of locked-in tension, it actually takes a couple of months. And one of the things that we do that's very powerful for getting rid of that condition, the condition being that every time you pull with 3, the 4 tenses and pulls away from the neck. And the reason that's obviously bad is because I need the finger neck. So if I'm not going to make that note on the 2nd string if my finger's all tense. So a great exercise for that is to start to perform the pull with 3 and 1, and while you're doing it, you pull with 3 and 1, and you keep your 4th finger touching the 2nd string. You can also keep it straight out like that. Now, what you want to do is activate the muscle that extends the finger, even before you start to pull with that 3rd finger. And then what happens over time is that finger gains independence from this one and no longer contracts. The muscles don't contract when the muscles for the 3rd finger contract. And that, by the way, that phenomenon of one muscle tensing just because another one is tensing, in my system, the Principles of Correct Practice for Guitar, I call that sympathetic tension. It's one of the biggest problems that guitar students have, because it happens just about with every move that's made, that other muscles tense up at the same time. That must be controlled in every situation in order to develop correctly. So the sympathetic tension going into the fourth finger, tensing it and even moving it away from the string as 3 pulls is another big problem. And related to that is the condition of the pull-offs themselves. Pull-offs are one of the most difficult things that we do. And a lot of people will have very bad pull-offs. They have what I call flabby pull-offs because they go like this. If they were going to do like a 3-4, they would do this. Now that actually does not cut it, even though it kind of looks okay. And the reason it doesn't cut is because you're not hearing articulation on that second note. Like that. In order to hear that articulation, the clarity of that second note, you can't just come up straight with that finger. You can't just go like hit and lift it like that, which is what a lot of people do. You actually have to pull the string. And here's one of the things that people really don't understand about pull-offs is that it's really an action of 2 fingers. If I'm pulling with this finger, I'm not going to get a good sound unless what I call the receiving finger, the 3rd finger, stays in place against the pulling. If I allow the string to get pulled off of the neck, then I'm not going to get any sound. So what that actually means is that your 3rd finger, or in this case the receiving finger, has to actually push forward. It has to push upward a little bit while the 4 is pulling down. That's actually what players do, although maybe a lot of them don't even realize they're doing it. The hand has just kind of figured it out as time's gone by. But if you want to fix your pull-offs, you want to actually push up with 3, then pull down with 4, and just have that little like tug-of-war thing going on there. Make sure you relax the rest of your body because the sympathetic tension goes throughout the body. You will tense all kinds of parts of your body while you're trying to get your very small muscles to do these things, especially when they're new. So that's one of the secrets of really getting that articulation going between the hammers and the pulls there. Hammers are a little easier in that respect because as long as you've got the distal joints working for you and you're relaxed enough, you're going to get the clarity just by hammering down on it. But the pull-offs, you need the action of both those fingers there. 3 and 4 is a very weak combination, so that has to be developed in every player, the ability to do it like that. One last thing I wanted to mention is that sometimes even when the left hand is together, people get stuck because of the pick, because that sympathetic tension that I'm talking about goes into the pick hand. So while the left hand's doing this work over here, what people do without knowing it is they tense their wrist on the other side of the body, so that when they need to do another pick stroke, after they hit a certain speed, they'll start missing the note because they're holding tension in the wrist while they're doing this, and then when they go to tell the pick to hit the string, it can't because this arm is tensed up because they weren't paying attention to it. So it just tensed up while they were busy working with the left hand. So what I do about things like that is I'll do the action very slowly and I'll just watch the pick and I'll feel that side of the body and feel the arm and just keep it very relaxed. Now, if you pay attention to all those things and you practice those in the context of a lick like this number 9, you're going to see the same things over and over in all the other, in fact the rest of the licks there on that page, they're all using those same fundamental mechanics. And if you're having trouble with them, it's all going to be from these reasons. So they'll all improve just by working on those things that I showed you. So I hope you have a lot of fun working with those ideas.